Your life doesn't just happen. Whether you know it or not, it is carefully designed by you. And I am not a product of my circumstances. I am a product of my decisions.
What is up, champions? Welcome to another episode of Champion Reads, where we talk about best-selling books and their best principles to help you out with your best life. I'm your host today, Coach Willie Blake, and today I'm joined by our guest, the founder of Champion Circle, Mr. John Covey Jr. And today, as we start to wrap up this awesome book that we've been going over, which is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen R. Covey. As we wrap this up, today we want to jump into two different sides. One is the practical application. What have we applied in this book over the last 4 weeks? And then the other side, which is after all these 7 habits, after all that we have in here, Stephen R. Covey, in his ultimate wisdom that he has come up with his 8th habit. And John and I were talking, and we thought we want to tell you our 8th habit. That if we were to add an 8th habit to this book, what would it be? So stick around because you're going to want to know what that is. Before that, we're going to talk about practical application. So out of the 7 habits, one of the things that was most practically applicated for me, it was when my wife and I were in an argument. And usually in an argument, like, ain't nobody wins, right? Even if you think you win, like, nobody wins. If you're right or wrong, it just ends in like a disaster a lot of the times. And so something that I learned from the book and from other sources was it takes 2 people to contend. It takes 2 people to butt heads. It takes 2 people to fight each other. But if one person is able to set down the bat, set down the shovel, then you're able to resolve. So I did that in an argument that my wife and I had just the other week about finances and about stuff. I sat there and I thought, what is she thinking about? And so this goes with seek to understand before being understood habit. So I sat there and I thought, and as I thought about what she was thinking about, it was so funny because we were both thinking the same thing. Like literally, we were both thinking that we wanted to make money. We were both thinking that we wanted to have finances for the kids. It's just the journey and the route was different. And so when that happens, I sat there and thought, I'm like, hon, we're talking about the same stuff. Like we are literally going after the same thing. It's just our own take on it. And so that helped to diffuse the situation. And then we're able to come up with a third solution, a win-win solution, you could say, afterwards. But it was first putting down that shovel, putting down that angry bat that I had that we were lightsaber as we were fighting with lightsabers back and forth. I was the one to finally put it down. And it works. Like it's crazy that it's crazy that it takes 2 people to go after each other. And when one person finally puts it down, it's amazing how quickly, when you seek to understand rather than understood, how quickly things get solved.
Yeah, I love that. I literally was just thinking that adage is a powerful, powerful tool. And I mean, I agree in so many degrees to how that one thing can truly begin to help people. I wanted to pull this up for a second, Willie, and just share it for all of our listeners who are just listening. a quick summary of the 7 habits of highly effective people. The first habit is be proactive. We talked about that. Number 2 is begin with the end in mind. If you go back to all of our episodes we've ever covered on the 7 habits, you'll know that we went into that in depth. And then number 3 is put first things first. We just recently talked about that. Number 4 is think win-win. And to me, Willie, that's a huge thing that you just described. Win-win. Like seek ye first to understand, not to be understood. Think about how the other person is feeling and understand it, and then come to the conclusion that, hey, we're all on the same page here, and that's powerful. And then, oh look, number 5: seek ye first to understand, and then be understood. I think those two are coupled together. And then number 6 is synergize. Which is something that we've also covered in depth. I think we've covered a lot of these in depth in our own ways, but then the last one, 7, is sharpen the saw. And but before we get to our second part, I want to build off of what you just said. And my practical applications of the 7 habits have truly been, not just like a mastery. Like I don't wake up and think, number 1, be proactive. Number 2, be the end of mind. Like I don't just like run through with them in my head. In fact, if it weren't for little chopped off hand examples, I'm just kidding. There's a hand in this photo. If you're watching the YouTube channel or you're looking at our video, you'll see that there's a really fancy display of the 7 habits, and there's like a little hand holding a holding a jar of a plant, and that's like looks like a chopped off hand. Spooky season, Halloween's coming up. But for me, like practical applications, like I don't think of these things as the steps to success, nor do I wake up and think, all right, today 1, 2, 3, and then tomorrow 4, 5, and 6, and then the day after 7. Like I don't think that way, and in fact I just need these reminders of how to use these. But when it comes to developing a successful habit, my practical application is one thing at a time. You don't master all of them, okay? You don't become the master of all 7. But number 7 for me is literally just taking 1% of your time and becoming better whenever you put that intention and whenever you put that effort in, at every chance you get. And in Willie's example and story here, he was taking not only that time to be to understand, but also thinking win-win. He was utilizing his time to sharpen the saw. He was getting 1% better at taking that situation, and rather than giving in to the natural man of argumentation and debate, right? It ended up becoming a situation where you saw an opportunity to open up and to really, really get there. And for me, that's what it's all about. Number 7 truly is the practical application for me, because look, these can be overwhelming, but you can be 1% better every single day. This is 1%, and 1% might be one little thing. Okay. I'm not going to do the math of what 1% of the timeline of every single day is, but out there, like generalizing this, what is the one thing you could do better today than you did yesterday? And it might be understanding, or to see things in a different way. So yeah, I love that. That's such a great application of these 7 habits and how you would best do it.
Yeah, and thanks for laying it out. Like 7 habits, boom, right there for you guys who are watching the video. That's it. Like that's a 7. And it's amazing how these have lasted through time. Like I'm trying to remember when this book came out, but I think it was like 1930s, 40s. Wow. Possibly 60s. But it was like it's been around for decades and decades. Yeah, if you can fact check me on that, that'd be great.
I'm curious. I'm like, wait, when did it come out?
I think it's like in the very beginning of the book. It'll show when it initially came out. Wish I had my book with me. It's in the other room, and I don't need people seeing.
I can't find it quickly, but yeah, I'll look it up. That's interesting. Oh, okay, here you go. You got I have the revised version, so I think mine's a little bit different. 1989 is when it said it released, but anyways.
Okay.
It's
Yeah, I
interesting.
just quickly Googled it. August 15th, 1989. So later than I thought, but still, um, decades, decades of it being around, and it's still like if you talk about self improvement for people who aren't in the industry and aren't doing business, hands down, this is the first book that people usually pop up.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And for 30 plus years, it's definitely something that I think people resonate with. It's not just clickbait on the shelf of Barnes and Noble, like, oh, 7 habits, that's it. Like literally highly effective people everywhere, top salespeople, incredible managers, high level CEOs, people who have built businesses on their own. Whether you have a team or you're a solo entrepreneur, this is a book that stands the test of time because it gives you a formula that you can use. Which brings us to our next point, Willie, because there have been several books in release after this book, including his own book called The Eighth Habit. I have here the 7 Habits Highly Effective People workbook and Living the 7 Habits. Like this whole 7 habits idea has built into so much. And we were talking in the green room before this, and we thought, hey, what's an eighth habit if we were to add one? What's that like that secret eighth habit that we would bring to our audience and share with them? Like, hey, this is my way. What's your way? The way doesn't exist, but hey, let's give each other some proud ideas and some thoughts. And yeah, I'm excited. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to share the couple things that I was thinking of first?
yeah, I was right there with you when you were sharing yours. So please share away.
All right. So one of the things we were talking about in the green room with William before the show is I'm struggling between deciding, and I know that's kind of like a well, John, is that your eighth habit or your eighth and your ninth habit? But let's just go for like I think they're equally important for me, but they're 2 habits that truly are relevant, and they've been extremely powerful in the most recent of times for me. Number one is speaking of books that were written a long time ago, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill's Principles. I mean, he lays out 13 steps to riches, and in his book, he talks about the various steps that give you the keys to unlocking how the mind works and growing with that mind, not just as someone who gets success, but someone who is rich in the mind, and it allows you to think differently. And the first step is one of the most powerful foundational systems, and it is learning about the power of desire. And desire is the first step to riches. And let's start there, and then I'll introduce my other thought in a little bit, because um, uh, in just a few minutes, because desire is a powerful tool. And for me, it's like, look, I can want millions of dollars all I want. Willie was talking about how he and his wife want finances, and they just wanted to figure out how to do it right. And the important part for me is like there's a want, there's a wish, and there's a desire. And a desire is something that you cannot live without. And the reason why is you do this all the time. Okay. You wake up and you desire, a glass of milk, right? And you go over to the fridge and you make it happen. And it's just something you whether you live or live or you whether you live with or you can't. Anyway, I'm trying to say something that's in poetic language, but what I'm trying to say is you do it, you make it happen. And then when you're driving down the road, you're like, oh, you know what sounds good right now? A burger. And then all of a sudden you're at the drive-through for your favorite burger place. And you get that because it's a desire. It hits you and you instantaneously react to it, and it takes over because now you do anything to have what you want. And it's so easy to describe this in the form of like desires next to our appetites, right? Our appetites are something that we have a hard time controlling as humans. But desire doesn't need to be controlled. Desire needs to be identified as, what do I truly want? And what am I willing to give in order to accomplish that or to receive that? And there's a big difference between goals, aspirations, wishes, and wants versus what a desire truly is. And you've probably all heard, if you've read the Bible or if you've read any sort of biblical scripture, that there's this idea of a burning desire within, right? The burning desire within is that like fiery feeling in your chest that gives you the absolute willpower to do whatever it is that you want to do. And we've all been there. Okay. Let's go back to babyhood. Babyhood is when we were crawling and we wanted to walk. And at some point, we learned that if I stand on my 2 feet and learn to hold myself up and balance, I will be able to walk. And then when you learn how to walk, you learn how to run. And when you learn how to run, you are unstoppable. And that is a true innate human desire that leads to so much more. But after babyhood, after childhood, after adolescence, we sort of forget that, and we lose steam, and reality and bills and responsibilities get in the way of us dreaming of what we truly desire. What are your thoughts on desire, Willie?
It's the number one principle in Think and Grow Rich. Is the first thing you start with, because if you want, there's no reason to change if you don't want something, right? There's no place of like, if you don't want $1 million, then why would you change your life to fit the habits, to fit the daily routines or rituals to be able to be a person who is making $1 million, right? You just wouldn't do it. And so when it comes to desire, it's probably up there with the most important, simply because it's the first step. You don't change unless you want something. And if you want something and you don't already have it, that means you do need to change. Because you haven't gotten the habits, you haven't gotten the rituals, the routines, whatever you need to do to complete that journey of action taking to get to your destination that you want. So crucial, very crucial to anybody who is wanting something, because it fits right there with change. If you want and desire something, you need to change. And if you don't, well, then why would you need to change in the first place?
Yeah, I love it. And I encourage our listeners to go to our YouTube channel and watch some of our Champion Circle trainings where we dive into this. And one of my like signature speeches is about the desire drive-through. And for those of you who know us, you know that reference. And if you don't know us, go check it out. The desire drive-through is a powerful way of reminding yourself that you do have desires within. And if there is truly a desire within you, then you can use that fuel to get what you want to accomplish. I was struggling with this because I thought, okay, that's definitely the 8th habit for me. Like that's the secret that's my secret sauce, right? But then I remembered something. Hey, what is Champion Circle all about? We are all about accountability. And recently, my accountability partners have helped me survive. And I'm realizing it. Like I always focus on integrity and personal accountability as the powerful, desirable foundation. But there are other steps to accountability, such as professional coaching, accountability partners, your mastermind, and your community. But if really I'm looking at it and I'm saying, wow, like I really needed the push. I really needed the kick in the butt. I've really needed that coach, not just blowing in the whistle, but just like giving me the ultimatums and saying, get on your feet, and I've needed that for some reason because I have been stubborn and stuck in my own ways, allowing excuses and things piling up and other things getting in my way. And accountability has been a powerful, powerful secret sauce to getting things done. And I'm awakened by it. Like I jumped on a phone call with you right after a sales call yesterday, Willie, and I was like, I'm fired up. Like, how did I forget this? Like, this is one of the most incredible feelings of adrenaline, and it's great. And I'm just quickly reminded that I needed my accountability partners. So accountability for me is huge, and developing an accountability system that really helps you to not get down on yourself and get stuck in your ways, but you've got to acknowledge what's not working, and you've got to just shake things up and do whatever seems non-practical in order to get whatever needs to get done. And it might be practical, but it might seem unpractical at first. And that's kind of my realization. And so it's a debate. Desire is a powerful tool. And if there were to be a second secret or ninth habit that I would add to the list, it would be accountability. What are your thoughts on that, Willie?
Right there with you. It's accountability is the thing that when, and I'm going to say when instead of if, when you get in your own way, you're able to pass it. Like whenever you're trying to achieve a goal, build a habit, we're going to eventually get in our own way, right? Because that's just our human nature. That's just what we've been doing. The experiences and our habits that we've been building up for the last 10, 20, 30 years are going to get in the way because our mind likes comfort. Yeah. Our mind doesn't like uncomfortable things. That's why it always pushes towards the comfortable things until you can last long enough to where it finally says, okay, now the uncomfortable thing is the thing I did in the past. This new thing, now that I've done repetition over a long time, just happens to be what I call the definition of discipline. As you are disciplined, then this is the comfortable side. And your mind is like, I'm going to go towards comfort because I spend less brain power and less energy on that side. So accountability, it pushes past the barriers of when we fall short and when we fall down, and having someone there to hold out their hand, to be able to help you pick up, to walk next to you. It just makes, one, it easier to stand up after you fall, but two, just makes it a nicer journey to have a friend with you walking down that path. And so my final words for what we've been talking about today is the 8th and 8.5 habit of desire as well as accountability, both very crucial when it comes to building a high performance life.
Yeah. And I'll wrap up too by saying, these are our ways. What is your way? Because the way doesn't exist. So as listeners, send us an email. Let us know what your habit to success is. Like, what's your secret sauce? We want to know. We want to talk about it here on the air. And we also want to, look at other options, because if it weren't for collaboration, we wouldn't have the 7 habits of highly effective people. It wouldn't have been a discourse of information to help us grow. And so I feel like we end where we began. And I'll share the same quote we read at the beginning of today's episode, which is, your life doesn't just happen, whether you know it or not. It is carefully designed by you. I am not a product of my circumstances. I am a product of my decisions. Thank you, Stephen Covey, and thank you for the 7 habits of highly effective people. There's a reason why this is a book that we strive to read at least once a year. I mean, this one has proven the test of time. It has given us strength in many ways, and it has opened our eyes to, hey, there are other habits and secrets that are waiting to be, to be untreasured, right? To be opened up and to find within our lives and within ourselves. And to me, that's special and that's exciting. And it's more than just mastery. It's more than just understanding and taking in this as education, but it's applying it and creating that value within yourself.
Amen, brother. And with that wraps up this awesome episode of Champion Reads. If you found inspiration in it, go ahead and subscribe to the podcast. You can find us on all the major podcasting platforms, as well as you can go to our website, mychampioncircle.com, where you'll be able to find the link to our podcast, link to our socials, and everything else going in the Champion Circle universe. Until next time, champions, continue to be awesome. Continue to be the best version of yourselves as you move forward with these habits. And always remember, and when it comes to the real 8th habit, it is showing up for book club with stories instead of excuses. We'll see you on the next episode of Champion Reads.